If karma is real, then why did white races get away with oppressing black people, and why are black people still oppressed? Valid questions, wrong understanding of karma. I have answers, but only for those who can handle truth, accountability, and complexity without flinching. If you align with lies, denial, binary thinking, or victimhood, your chest is gonna cave in. So just get out of here, exit now, click away. I'm answering these questions as a PhD sociologist who walked away from racial justice work after more than 15 years for the reasons I'll describe in point number 3. I'm also an occultist who specializes in spiritual justice and manipulates karmic mechanics for my clients. This is what most people don't understand about karma, oppression, and why freedom seems elusive. Watch all 4 points till the end and watch on 2x speed if you need to. Point number 1, karma is energetic physics, not fairness. As I detailed in my last video, karma is not synonymous with punishment, morality enforcement, eye for an eye, or even fairness as humans would define it. Karma balances actions energetically, not literally and not in the same form. White folks won't get shackled on plantations, but they are experiencing the energy of oppression in ways I'll explain. Karma is multidimensional. It operates at the individual, familial, racial, systemic, and national levels. If you're in the United States, for example, you're living America's karma right now. Karma is also temporal. It operates across lifetimes and generations. 500 years of slavery and Jim Crow created massive karmic debt. Slavery and Jim Crow lasted way longer than it's been over. It's only been 60 years since civil rights. The math doesn't add up for instant resolution. Collective karma settles slower than individual karma. When you understand these mechanics, you can then manipulate karma and accelerate justice. But first, you have to see that it's already working, which brings me to my next point, point number 2. White people are experiencing karma. You just don't recognize it. White people are paying karmic debts collectively and individually. You don't see it because you expect karma to mirror the original harm exactly, and it just doesn't work like that. Globally, whites are the racial minority, and their population is shrinking, especially in places they've dominated, including the United States. Their birth rates are collapsing, hence the desperation around population control and particular policies, especially the overturning of Roe versus Wade and immigration panic. Their systems are destabilizing as Black people rise culturally, spiritually, educationally, economically, and politically. The opioid epidemic has been the deadliest drug crisis in recorded American history, and it disproportionately devastated white communities. White men have the highest suicide rates in America. At the individual level, many white people live in a psychological prison of guilt, shame, ancestral trauma, and spiritual emptiness. Most Black Americans are socially isolated from white people's inner world, so you idealize them and think they're better off than they actually are. I've had raw conversations about race with my white colleagues, acquaintances, and students for decades. Many are hollow. Their families are riddled with abuse, dysfunction, addiction, and quiet desperation. Many of their households and upbringings were plantations of oppression. Material wealth without meaning is soul death. Again, karma balances energetically and in its own timing. If you want faster consequences, there are ways to manipulate karma and get justice outside of karma. Which brings me to point number 3 of why Black people are still oppressed. Why are Black people still oppressed today? Multiple realities and dynamics exist simultaneously. So first, karmic balance is in progress, but full completion takes time, given the scale and gravity of racial oppression. Second, Black oppression is weakening socially, educationally, economically, politically. Third, Black people can accelerate karma, facilitate justice, and advance freedom through ancestral spiritual practices and magic. But again, karma works through action, not passivity. Waiting for justice is spiritual laziness and bypassing. Inaction creates karmic debt that perpetuates oppression. Experiencing oppression doesn't remove your agency or your responsibility. You still have power. You are 100% responsible for doing what you can to create your life in spite of oppression. But here's the real question you must answer honestly. Is the present day Black American collective in energetic alignment to facilitate freedom? Is the present day Black American collective in energetic alignment to facilitate freedom? Is the present day Black American collective in energetic alignment to facilitate freedom? Hell no. While many Black individuals are, I'm one, the collective is spiritually misaligned and directly participates in its own oppression. There are countless examples of how, and I'll mention, just 3 or 4 examples. One example, the disproportionately high interracial Black homicide that the community likes to downplay. The Black community refuses to fully hold Black perpetrators accountable, all while disregarding Black victims and their victimization. This perpetuates the oppression you complain about, and it creates massive karmic debt. Another example, Black Americans rejected their ancestral spiritual practices that contain spiritual codes and technologies for liberation in exchange for the oppressor's religion that siphons and suppresses your power. 80% of Black Americans are Christian. You adopted the slave master's religious practices and wonder why you're still bound. When the slave and slave master prayed to the same God, whose prayer got answered? Another example, the dishonor of Black children. Black children are the poorest subgroup in America, have the highest rates of abuse and neglect, and are subjugated as inferior objects who serve the interests of superior adults. Many Black parents and adults yell and cuss at Black children as if they're an inconvenience and proudly whip them into submission. This sounds eerily similar to the slave master's antics. The dehumanization of Black children inflicts long-term trauma, and it contradicts our pre-colonial indigenous values where children were honored, protected, and held as reincarnated ancestors in many cultures. Failing Black children is the single most factor that keeps the Black collective energetically stuck. Another example is colorism, which is a strand of white supremacy that says that dark skin is inferior and light skin is superior because of its proximity to whiteness. Most Black Americans are colorists, which means they agree with the colonizers that they are inferior. They are admitting to being inferior. Colorists uphold the exact white supremacist ideology that justifies slavery, lynching, mass incarceration, and subjugation, yet in the same breath have the audacity to demand freedom, all while being energetically and ideologically aligned with your oppressor's system. How can a Black collective demand karmic acceleration while participating in the same karma? How can the Black collective demand justice for Black oppression while simultaneously oppressing Black people themselves? Self-betrayal carries a heavier karmic debt than out-group betrayal. Whites are not obligated to be loyal to Black people, but you are. If white people are paying karmic debts for harming Black people, what do you think is happening to Black people who unjustifiably harm Black people? These spiritual realizations are why I walked away from racial justice work and divested from the Black collective. I facilitate karma. I don't interfere with it. I give nothing to the collective. I burnt that cape years ago. I center myself, my family, and give my overflow to the small percentage of Black individuals who truly want freedom and are willing to do the work. This brings me to number 4. The path forward. These are solutions for serious people only. Understand this critical point. The collective experience does not have to be your individual experience. Just because the Black collective is still oppressed doesn't mean you have to be. I'm not. You can unplug and save yourself from the community's karmic loop. What I've learned through my professional experiences as a sociologist and occultist and my personal evolution is that the highest return on investment is at the individual level, not rescuing the Black community, not trying to dismantle systems overnight. The individual level is where you have the most control. Here are 5 individual level solutions for serious Black folks who are willing to do the work. 1, divest from victim mentality immediately to reclaim personal power. 2, divest from white supremacy and Black dysfunction. Both are poisonous prisons. 3, get money. Financial freedom creates installation, protection, and options. 4, use magic. Ancient practices contain liberation technologies. 5, consciously create the life you want. You are the architect. This video is getting long, so if you want me to elaborate on these 5 solutions, let me know in the comments by commenting part 2, and I'll elaborate in the next video. Follow me if you're serious about freedom and thriving, not comfort, not validation, and not just survival mode. But in conclusion, karma is working. Justice is underway, but it requires your participation, not your passivity. If you're waiting for the oppressor to free you or the system to be fair, you've already lost. If you're waiting for the collective to wake up, you'll die waiting, like our heroes did. Individual sovereignty is the most viable path to collective liberation. The question is, are you willing to walk it?
If you don't think, they will think for you. If you don't cry for peace, they will come for you. They'll love you today, they'll love you confused. If you don't cry for justice, they will come for you. Can you cry that you can't see the pain? Don't question why they've got your mind in a maze. It's a new world order, the battle for our minds. The world